What is up? What is up, YouTube? How y'all doing? Check it out. Without a doubt, we're gonna see what this bad boy is all about. Hey, check it out, man. Diddy loses it in court after Cassie reveals everything on day 2. Now, dude, come on, Puff, dude. Next week, I'm going up to New York. I'm gonna stay for 3 days. So I'm gonna stay in a hotel 2 nights, maybe. But I might sleep in the car one night, try to save some money. But check this out, man. Cassie was on the trial and said that Diddy would have little baby pools, the blow up baby pools in the hotel room filled up with baby oil. Well, not filled up, but so they can splash around and play baby oil games in the baby pool. Is that right? Baby oil, baby pool. Oh man, come on, boy. What is wrong with you? Something wrong with that dude. Then Diddy had people using the bathroom. I can't, I'm old head, man. I can't say urinate. I can't say pee. Ooh. I can say I gotta pee when it's time to go to the bathroom, but we're talking about some nasty stuff, dog. Anyway, hey, y'all hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. Uncle Mike gonna bring it to you real. We bringing it to you different. Let's check this out. It's day 2 of that federal heat on Sean Diddy Combs. His ex-girl Cassie Ventura taking the stand as one of Combs' many accusers. But today, she the star witness, the one the whole courtroom locked in on.
Is she ready?
Very ready and confident. Thank you.
Cassie's expected to speak on that 2016 hotel video, the one where Diddy allegedly put hands on her while they were still together. Back then, folks called him a music mogul, a kingmaker, the blueprint of hip-hop's success. But yesterday, that whole image came crashing down. When Cassie took the stand, Diddy's face turned pale. She started revealing things so disturbing the courtroom fell silent. Even the veteran reporters were left speechless. The man who once ruled the game couldn't hide nothing as Cassie laid it all bare. Everything that allegedly went down behind them closed doors.
When she walked in there, Rachel, she had on a brown dress, form-fitting, visibly pregnant, head held high, and did not make any eye contact with the defendant, with Sean Combs. He said that Sean Combs directed everything from what she had on to the lighting in the room to how she was supposed to interact with the person that she was having sex with. And again, just to reiterate what is a freak off, the freak off essentially was something that Cassie said she learned about through Sean Combs about a year into their relationship. He described it as voyeurism, wanting to watch her have sex with someone else. And she said that she did it because she was 22, 21. She was young. She didn't know any better, and that she wanted to please Sean Combs.
Among other things, the singer is expected to address the 2016 video of Combs attacking her in a hotel when she was his girlfriend. Combs has pleaded not guilty. His attorneys argue the video is evidence of jealousy, not sex trafficking. And now for the first time, jurors are hearing what Cassie has to say about that and other aspects of their 10-year relationship.
For decades, Sean Diddy Combs walked through the music industry like he was untouchable, like he owned every room he stepped in. And let's be real, for a long time he did. The man didn't just build bad boy records, he turned it into a whole movement. He took raw talent from the streets and turned them into household names. He flipped mixtapes into millions, contracts into clothing lines, and club hits into corporate deals. He made hip-hop look like Wall Street, champagne in one hand, pen in the other. They called him a mogul, a kingmaker, the icon who turned the hustle into legacy. He wasn't just at the top, he was the top. His name meant power. His face meant money. His moves shaped culture. And to the outside world, he was a hero, the ultimate glow-up from Harlem to global. But that was the image. Now we in court. And that image is starting to break apart, piece by piece. And Cassie Ventura, singer, model, and more importantly, his ex-girlfriend, stepped up to the witness stand. Not for applause, not for attention, but for truth, her truth. And as she opened her mouth, the courtroom shifted. All eyes turned to her, all energy turned to him. They say while Diddy was getting magazine covers and building liquor empires, Cassie was allegedly suffering in silence. While the red carpets rolled out, she was living a reality no one saw. Not the fans, not the press, not even the people closest to him. The contrast, chilling. Diddy showed up to day 2 of that trial like he was heading into a business pitch, dressed to kill, flanked by top lawyers, nodding at folks like the king was in the building. He even smiled. But the minute Cassie started speaking, that whole mask started slipping. Witnesses said you could see the change. That signature Diddy confidence, that swagger started melting. The man who used to own every room now looked like he couldn't wait to leave it. Cassie ain't raised her voice. She didn't need to. Her words hit harder than any beat he ever dropped. And Diddy, he was fidgeting, first with his tie, then his cuffs, then just his hands, raw nerves on display. His lawyers were on edge too, jumping up, throwing out objections like Hail Marys, but it didn't stop her. She went into specifics, detailed incidents, dates, names. And the more she spoke, the less control Diddy had. People in that room said it was like watching a storm break over a man who always thought he controlled the weather. At one point, Diddy started scribbling notes like his life depended on it, passing them fast to his attorneys, so fast one had to hold up a hand like, slow down. Reporters said he looked pale. Others said he looked sick. One even said he kept closing his eyes, like he couldn't even face the moment. This question mark, this was new. This was raw. This wasn't the Diddy the world had seen. And remember, this was just the beginning. As Cassie kept going, the courtroom got quieter, tighter, heavier, like everybody there knew. This story, it was bigger than drama, bigger than celebrity. This was the kind of truth that shakes the whole industry from the inside. Diddy spent decades building his legacy, controlling the narrative, directing the story. But now, he can't cut the camera, can't change the script, can't call for edits. This version of his life, he don't run this one. He's in the hot seat, and the mic ain't his no more.
And at some point in time, she actually had said that she looked forward to the freak-offs. Why did Cassie express looking forward to these said freak-offs?
When the prosecution asked her, was there ever a time that you enjoyed the freak-offs? This is when Cassie got choked up and she said, I did, but only because I got to spend one-on-one time with Combs and I really did love him.
And that is speaking to the psychological abuse in addition to the physical abuse that she potentially experienced.
Yeah, she's definitely laying out someone who was young, who was influenced by wanting to have this record career. She signed a 10-album deal with Bad Boy Entertainment, led by Sean Combs, and basically describes being enamored by Sean Combs, loving him, not knowing about certain things sexually, and him sort of telling her, teaching her about that. And what you hear is someone that was young and she even said, you know, I was young, I was naive, I didn't know any better. But she's really telling the story of someone who thought she was going to be with someone in this music industry that was going to help her career, that cared about her, but quickly learned after the freak-offs that wasn't the case. And what I thought was also interesting is she said that after that first freak-off, she said she felt dirty. She didn't want to do it. And when she brought up the idea of having a conversation about the freak-offs in an email, which the jurors saw, she said she backpedaled in the email because Combs responded by saying, I know, you don't want to do it. And she said, oh, no, well, it's not that. But that was the beginning. That was in 2010, where she brings up in an email that she wanted to have a conversation about this. And in her words, she didn't want to do it, but she felt like she had to do it.
Well, Diane, prosecutors have wasted no time getting right into the alleged abuse that Cassie Ventura says she endured for years. Ventura telling jurors, quote, he would bash my head, knock me over, drag me, kick me, stomp me in the head when I was down. She also got into the nature of those so-called freak-offs, saying that they involved hiring an escort and they performed under the direction of Combs, saying that they happened so frequently it eventually became a job for her to set them up. Ventura said she did not feel she had much of a choice but to participate, that she feared that Combs would retaliate or potentially blackmail her if she did not. And she's had at times to take, she's taken deep breaths, pausing her testimony. Combs appearing to be listening pretty passively with his hands in his lap at the defense table there.
When Cassie Ventura stepped up and took the stand, you could hear a pin drop. The whole room froze. Folks knew this moment was coming, but let's be real. Nobody, not even Diddy's high-priced legal team, was really ready for what she was about to unleash. After years of silence, after keeping all that pain locked down, Cassie finally had the mic. And when she started speaking, she didn't shout, she didn't cry. She built it. Slow, deliberate, like the opening scene of a horror film. You knew something dark was coming, but you couldn't look away. She began at the beginning, back when she was just 19, young, ambitious, trying to find her way. Diddy, already a giant in the game, rich, connected, untouchable. And right away, the power dynamic was tilted. Cassie was a model with dreams. He was a mogul with control. And according to her testimony, he used that control from the jump. First came the little things, or what seemed little. The way he allegedly had to know where she was at all times, how he'd pop up when she was out with friends. That turned into control over her career. She told the court he would shut down her music if she didn't do what he wanted, if another artist showed interest in her sound. Diddy would allegedly block that too, like he couldn't stand the idea of her getting shine without his stamp. But then she dropped the shocker. Cassie told the court Diddy allegedly installed tracking software on her phone. She said he'd call her just minutes after she got somewhere, already knowing her location, like a GPS ghost in her pocket. According to her, he started isolating her, one friend at a time. If someone gave her the courage to walk away, they were cut off. Until all that was left was him. 3 times the judge had to call for order. Diddy couldn't stay still. He was shaking his head, whispering wild to his lawyers, making faces the whole jury could see. The judge kept warning him, chill. He'd sit quiet for a few minutes, then snap again, like a man who'd always had the final word. Finally being told, you can't speak now. Then Cassie dropped the bomb. She pulled out her phone and handed it to her lawyer. On the courtroom screen, texts and emails, receipts, projected big for everybody to see. Diddy's face, straight stunned, like he never thought she kept proof. Messages where he allegedly apologized for getting violent. Messages that sounded like threats if she ever exposed him. Messages that didn't match anything his PR team had been saying for years. And that was just the warm-up. Because next, Cassie started talking about the physical stuff, the abuse. The courtroom went dead silent as she described being slammed against walls in the middle of arguments. She spoke on a moment in Miami saying he pushed her down a flight of stairs at a rental. But the darkest part, she testified he allegedly choked her, not once, multiple times, said he wouldn't stop until she went limp. Let that sink in. The jury felt it. One older woman wiped away tears. One of the male jurors couldn't even look in Diddy's direction. Even the journalists, the ones who've covered the wildest trials, admitted they weren't ready for this level of raw, graphic detail. And remember, everything Cassie just shared? That was before she even got to the hotel incident that's about to blow this case wide open.
Cassie's relationship with Diddy. Some of those details we've seen in prior lawsuits, but to hear her on the stand actually giving those details, reliving those moments herself. Also, you have to remember, she's very pregnant right now. So I'm going to be curious to see how long she makes it on the stand, how she's emotionally able to weather all of these questions. And what's going to be interesting to watch is, you know, the defense from the very start in their opening statement said that she chose to be there. So I'm going to be curious to see how she responds to questions about, was this her choice or did she feel like she had to do all of these things?
I think what made Cassie emotional is having to describe the details of the freak-off and why she did it. When she talked about wanting to do it to please Sean Combs, that's when she broke down. Up until that point, she had just been answering the questions. She's a little soft-spoken at times, but that's when she got emotional. When she had to answer the question about if she enjoyed it, That's when she broke down, because she said, I enjoyed being with Sean Combs. And she says, I did it because it made him happy.
What did the expressions of the jurors look like?
The jurors are laser focused on what Cassie has to say. And that's to be expected, right? Because she is the person who will likely be on the stand, according to attorneys, for 2, maybe 3 days. She's the one that was in the relationship with Sean Combs for over 10 years. So she's got a lot to say, and she's just getting started.
Just how important is Cassie's testimony to the prosecution?
I think it really connects the dots, Rachel. When you look at that initial indictment and what's being alleged, she really is the person that has probably the most information about this idea that the prosecution says, which is creating a criminal enterprise for Sean Combs' sexual desires. Something else that the jurors saw today that sort of connects it back to this alleged criminal enterprise are 7 photos of people that were very close to Sean Combs, one even his former chief of staff. And these were all people that Cassie Ventura was able to name and explain the functions in terms of what they did: security, driver, chief of staff, someone that handled financials. So it's showing that she knew some of these people, again, because she was with him, around him for so long.
I thought I was going to die that night, Cassie said, her voice barely more than a whisper. The courtroom, silent. You could hear folks breathing, all eyes on her. She was talking about a night no one, not the blogs, not the press, not even the deepest gossip forums had ever heard about. The infamous 4 Seasons hotel incident. Cassie says she kept it hidden for years out of fear that speaking up would destroy her career, fear that she'd be hurt, and fear that no one would believe her over a man as rich and powerful as Diddy. But on that witness stand, she wasn't holding back anymore. She told the court it all started at an industry after party. The vibe was chill, everything seemed normal, until it wasn't. Diddy, she said, got heated after seeing her chopping it up with another exec. His whole energy flipped, smile gone, hands are tight. Cassie testified that he grabbed her arm so hard it left marks, all while keeping his cool in front of the crowd. But in her ear, he was whispering threats. Then came the real twist. Cassie claimed Diddy dragged her across the hotel lobby in public. She was crying, struggling to break free. Hotel security came over, saw what was going down, but when they realized who Diddy was, they backed off. She said the guard only asked, "Is everything okay?" And when Diddy said yes, that was it. He didn't even ask if I was okay, she told the court. Then the receipts came out. Cassie's lawyer presented photos she'd taken of herself the next morning. Bruises on her arms, a busted lip, red marks on her neck. The images weren't fancy. They were shaky bathroom mirror shots. But that made them feel real, raw, like pain caught in the moment. She said she took those pics because she knew people wouldn't believe her without proof. Diddy's lawyers fought hard to keep the photos out, saying they weren't properly authenticated, saying they should have been submitted earlier, but the judge denied every move. The photos hit the screen, and the jury felt it. One woman covered her mouth. 2 male jurors looked away. Another juror in the back was taking notes so fast her pen couldn't keep up. That moment shifted the whole room. Nobody saw this coming, not even Diddy's team. It had never been mentioned in court before. They had no response ready, just panic. Cassie went further. She said Diddy threw a champagne bottle at her, missed her head by inches. He trashed the hotel room, broke lamps, flipped tables, punched a hole through the bathroom door. Worst of all, she said he held her there for 48 hours, took her phone, threatened her if she tried to leave or call for help. By the time she finished, the whole courtroom turned toward Diddy. His reaction in that moment, that could be the moment that defines this entire trial and everything he built.
I think what the defense is going to say is that this wasn't blackmail, this was not coercion, this was consensual. We know that Cassie started out with Sean Combs as an early person, with someone who is trying to get her career started, and he was going to help her. That's what the defense is going to say, that she was starting out and wanted someone to support her. They did their first record deal together. That's something I think the defense is going to focus on, and had it not been for Sean Combs, she wouldn't be where she is right now. The prosecution obviously is saying he was in control. It may have started out as a consensual. It may have started out with her being excited about seeing him, but ultimately he took control of that relationship. He took control of her career. This is their key witness, and she's on that stand trying to explain all of the charges that the prosecution wants to hit home with that jury.
No, there was a moment early on when Cassie mentioned Dallas Austin, who she called a friend who's a producer. So I don't know if that's someone that we're going to hear from. We know that there were pictures shown to prospective jurors that are well-known celebrities, you know, Kanye West, Kid Cudi, Lauren London. We don't know, though, how they fit yet into why they were even asked, do you know these people? Are you familiar with them?
So the prosecution is questioning Cassie right now, still questioning her.
The defense hasn't even got a chance to, I mean, that might change based on the timing, but, you know, because she's such a key witness, it's likely that she will be on that stand the rest of the day. We learned that Cassie referred to him as Pop, and Sean Combs would refer to her as CC. The prosecution says, what does CC stand for? She said Cassie Combs.
What kind of witness is Cassie coming off as to the jurors?
I think naturally when you look at her visually, people see that she's pregnant and looking like she's due any day now. So they might, you know, have empathy, sympathy for her in that way, but we don't really know. We know that they've been instructed to be fair and impartial. As to what type of witness she's coming off as, she's describing someone that she was, someone she said that was trying to figure out who she was at that time and who she was allowed to be. Now you're looking at somebody that's almost 40 years old, totally different person, but even in describing what was going on at her at that time, taking drugs, trying to please Sean Combs, she's really just sort of laying out the case for her not having a lot of control. So I think that's the takeaway. This is someone who is making it very clear that at that particular time in her life, she says she did not have any control really over what she wore, what she did, who she was having sex with. She's a different person now. But I think when she talks about those details and even reflecting on them for herself, as we saw today, she broke down in that courtroom.
It was the moment nobody in that courtroom will ever forget. Diddy, the man who built $1 billion empire off his ability to stay cool, stay calm, and stay one step ahead, finally broke. Right there, in front of everyone. The image, gone. The calm, shattered. The man underneath, he didn't look like no mogul. He looked like somebody who just realized the mask he wore his whole life was gone, and it ain't coming back. You gotta understand, this is a dude who spent decades curating perfection. The smooth-talking businessman, the collected mogul, the guy who never lets you see him sweat, the one who could handle anything. But as Cassie's testimony cut deeper and deeper, that whole image began to crack. And when it cracked, it collapsed. Court reporters, people who've watched murder trials, mob cases, celebrity meltdowns, even they said they'd never seen anything like it. Diddy literally transformed in front of their eyes. From the music industry's untouchable giant to a man who looked like he was cornered with no exit. Every new accusation from Cassie didn't just hit the courtroom, it hit him like bricks. Folks close enough to see the table said his lawyers were working overtime. One of them, reportedly his lead attorney, kept putting a hand on Diddy's arm, trying to keep him steady, calm him down. At one point, a lawyer even slid him a note, bold letters, all caps, "Stay calm." But it wasn't working. Things boiled over when Cassie described a moment at Diddy's Hamptons property. Something about the way she said it, the detail, the tone, hit a nerve. Diddy snapped. He slammed his hand on the table, hard. So hard the sound bounced off the walls. The judge cut everything off immediately. "Mr. Combs," he warned, "if you can't control yourself, I will have you removed from this courtroom." And for a second, it looked like he really might get kicked out of his own trial. Throughout Cassie's testimony, Diddy kept shaking his head, mouthing, "That's no true." Every time something damaging came out, like he forgot the jury was watching, like he forgot the whole world had a front row seat now. One courtroom observer said, "It looked like a man who's never been challenged, finally facing a reality he can't manipulate." The power in that room, it flipped. For years, Diddy allegedly controlled everything about Cassie's life. Now, she was taking that control back, telling her story, her way, no edits, no PR spin, no security to cut her mic or usher her away. She wasn't whispering anymore. And Diddy, he had to sit there and take it. But the moment everything changed, the moment that'll be remembered as the point of no return, came when Cassie talked about the threats. She testified that Diddy had threatened her family if she ever spoke about what happened. Then she dropped the bomb. Recordings, real recordings of his voice, making those exact threats. Her lawyer hit play, and that's when Diddy lost it completely. He jumped up, pointing at Cassie, yelling across the courtroom, "You know that's not how it happened." His legal team rushed him, trying to pull him back into his chair. It took 3 lawyers just to restrain him while the recording kept playing. The judge slammed the gavel and called for a recess, but it was too late. The moment had already hit the jury, the media, the courtroom. The damage was done. And when Diddy was walked out for recess, he wasn't the same man who walked in earlier that morning. The power, the presence, the persona, gone. The mask was off, and what was underneath wasn't pretty. Just when folks thought they'd heard the worst, Cassie went even deeper. She'd been collecting evidence for years. Quietly, strategically, backing up text messages, saving emails, snapping photos, storing it all where Diddy couldn't reach it, couldn't delete it, couldn't erase her truth. Then she revealed she had messages from celebrities, not randoms, not outsiders, but folks who were right there, in Diddy's circle. Big names, people who had seen his behavior firsthand and said something about it. The courtroom went dead silent. Cassie said these were artists, producers, insiders who had been at parties, at studios, backstage at events, people who had watched things go down and reached out to her in private. And when the text started popping up on the screen, Diddy's face told it all. A major rapper texted, "You okay? What I saw tonight wasn't right. You can stay at my place." A pop star wrote, "I've known him 15 years. I've never seen him act like that. This ain't normal, please call me." But the one that shook the room came from a producer Diddy had worked with for decades. "I can't be around this anymore. I told him to get help. Call me when you're safe." It was over. Everything Diddy's team had said about nobody ever witnessing anything, gone, publicly contradicted. Then came the final dagger, Diddy's own text. Screenshots where he admitted to what went down, not directly, but clear enough. "I'm sorry about last night. You know how I get when I drink. Whatever you need to make this right. New car, new apartment, whatever you want. My lawyer can draft something up, $2 million clean break, but you can't talk about the last 5 years." As the court read these aloud, something strange started happening. People who came with Diddy that morning, friends, assistants, hangers-on, started quietly getting up and walking out, one by one. No words, just shame. By the end, Diddy sat alone, just him and his legal team. That morning, he walked in like royalty. By the time the court adjourned, he looked like a man sitting in the rubble of everything he built. Cassie Ventura didn't just share her story, she redefined his legacy. The evidence, the testimony, the receipts, the recordings, they painted a picture the world can't unsee. And now, the question ain't whether Diddy can win this case. No, it's whether his reputation can ever recover from what was revealed. Right there in that courtroom. By the time the courtroom emptied out, one thing was clear. This wasn't just another celebrity trial. This was the unraveling of a legacy. Diddy came in that morning like a legend, but walked out looking like a cautionary tale. And Cassie, she didn't just speak her truth. She made sure the world heard it. Because once the truth hits the light, ain't no going back to the shadows.
Hey, y'all let me know in the comments below, man. I'm gonna get on up out of here. Y'all take it light, take it slow. Tell them Uncle Mike told you so. Peace out.